Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new edition of the Daily Debate. In tonight's show, we're going to be focusing on the youth of Egypt, the future decision makers, the future builders and leaders of our country. We're going to be taking a look at the past 8 years, how the government and the presidency have been exerting efforts to promote and strengthen the role of the youth in the history and the future of Egypt. But before we start doing that, let's check out some of the stories making the news today. And we'll start off with President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, who received the United Arab Emirates Minister of Industry and Modern Technology, Sultan Al-Jaber, in Cairo on Tuesday. During the meeting, President al-Sisi hailed the expansion of the UAE investments in Egypt, saying it comes within the framework of strengthening brotherly ties between the two countries. The head of state said ties between the two sides had developed significantly at all levels, expressing keenness on boosting them to achieve the interests of both countries and their peoples. He also expressed his keenness on finding new cooperation horizons in all fields, especially in privileged sectors. For his part, the UAE minister praised the trade and investment climate in Egypt, describing it as attractive in the light of the comprehensive developmental drive taking place in the country under President al-Sisi's leadership. The minister said the investment climate in Egypt on the larger scale provides various business opportunities in the Middle East and Africa for the UAE and international investors. He expressed the UAE's interest in boosting strategic cooperation with Egypt in all domains. Presidential spokesperson Ambassador Bassem Radi said the meeting touched on boosting cooperation in the information technology, energy and communication sectors. Also today, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi stressed on Egypt's proud and distinguished cooperation and relations with Cyprus. Now, the president's remarks came during a phone call from the Cypriot president, Nikos Anastasiades. During the call, President al-Sisi expressed Egypt's desire to enhance joint ties with Cyprus in all fields, especially in the security, economy and energy, in a bid to serve mutual interests. For his part, the Cypriot president asserted his country's keenness to exchange views with President al-Sisi on regional issues of common interest, as well as enhancing coordination in various fields. Presidential spokesman Ambassador Bassem Radi said that during the call, the two presidents also reviewed developments of a number of regional issues in the Middle East. Cyprus' coordination with Egypt as a European Union main partner in combating terrorism and extremism and illegal immigration were also discussed during the call. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi stressed today the support for an establishment and directed the establishment of an excellence center for women's health, diagnosis and treatment of tumors in Dar es Salaam Hospital, and the provision of complete and equip its facilities by the Long Live Egypt Fund, and to present the center as a medical beacon at the state level. The president made his directive during his meeting of Dr. Muhammad Awad Tagid-Din, the presidential advisor for health and prevention, and Dr. Hamdi Abdulazim, the professor of oncology at Asr Medical College. The head of state instructed the expansion of the approved centers for tumor diagnosis in accordance with international standards, taking into account the population distribution, as well as providing necessary financial resources and equip the hospital's facility. The presidential spokesman Bassem Radi said the meeting witnessed the follow-up of the presidential initiative to support women's health at the republic level, and Dr. Tagid-Din affirmed that the initiative contributed to the development of the diagnosis and treatment of tumors, especially breast cancer, through the use of modern medicines that scientific research has proven their ability to treat and reduce mortality rates, especially in early cases, as well as to improve the infrastructure of diagnostic radiology devices and analytical factors. For his part, Dr. Abdulazim explained that the initiative has successfully achieved its core goals significantly over the past 2 years. with approximately 6 million women being diagnosed in primary care centers, referring to the reduction of late-stage cases in Egypt from 60 to 30%. The National Dialogue held a press conference after its first session at the National Training Academy in Cairo today. Inaugurating the session earlier in the day, Executive Director of the National Training Academy, Rasha Raghib, said the academy doors would be open for all public brackets during the National Dialogue. Addressing the inaugural session, General Coordinator of the National Dialogue, Diya Rashwan, said the dialogue has space for all, adding that difference in opinion bears no harm. He said there is no room in the National Dialogue for those who resorted to fighting or incited it. Rashwan stressed that no opinion would be excluded and consensus is the main goal. He said Egyptians have ambitions and have high hopes in the National Dialogue. The Council is to announce its decisions to the public to allow for involvement in the dialogue through all direct and online means. These were some of the stories making the news today, but now turning our attention to tonight's topic in hand, the empowerment of youth, the process that have been taking place over the past 8 years. What has been achieved? What do we still aspire to achieve in the very near future? Let's check out this report regarding President Sisi actually being loaded by the Arab Parliament for the empowerment of youth in Egypt. Let's check it out and we'll be right back.
The Arab Parliament hailed efforts exerted by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi throughout the past 8 years in supporting and empowering youth in various domains and in all levels, expressing its full appreciation to such sincere efforts which reflect the head of state's faith in the youth who will be the decision makers of the future. The Arab Parliament also praised efforts of the state in the fight of climate change. This came during the 8th Global Conference for Young Parliamentarians, which was organized by the Egyptian Parliament and the International Parliamentary Union under the auspices of President Sisi. The important global parliamentary event referred to the climate change issue as an issue of national security. It reiterated the importance of boosting parliamentary efforts towards the issue of climate change, especially the role of young parliamentarians in their respective parliaments. Meanwhile, the Arab League urged Arab governments to empower the youth and motivate them to invest in their innovations with a view to creating new generations capable of serving their countries, as well as removing any obstacles facing them. This came in a speech delivered by the Director of Intellectual Property and Competitiveness Department at the Arab League at a celebration marking World Intellectual Property Day. Celebration was attended by government officials from intellectual property offices in Arab countries, experts from the World Intellectual Property Organization, in addition to a number of researchers, legal experts and young inventors. The unprecedented progress witnessed in the innovation field in the Arab region was lauded, where there's been real interest in this regard from governments and decision makers throughout the development of relevant legislation.